And we're back. And you're staying with me now for the next couple of weeks. Steve
back at the ranch.
You're back at the ranch.
Yeah.
How do you like doing the shows with me?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be tougher, but it's nice and easy.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, we run through them and have a little fun while we're doing it. But the most important thing is to get the message out there for the kids, the community. And this is the John Elite Show again. Hit the subscribe button. Come back, click questions. I love questions. I love feedback. Subscribe. And I want to talk about something that's really important to me because of the way I have a different life. And I got involved in a lot of campaign stuff, politics, because I look at life a lot different because of my kids, because of grandkids, because of what's going on in society, like we talked about last week with Brian Thompson being killed.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about something that people don't like talking about, or they talk negative. And they're talking about the blue thin line, the New York and the police department around the world, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Detroit, anywhere in America. And the biggest thing that people don't talk about is 911 calls. Do you know there's 600,000 911 calls a day? 600,000.
I didn't know that.
It's an incredible amount of calls, right? And out of those calls, there's also a couple of million responses a day around the country of things that happen without the 911 call. So when people are talking about killings or bad shootings by the police, those numbers are astronomical of doing the right thing. I'm talking about the police in a positive way.
Of course.
Now, there's something that no one talks about, and I just spoke to a police officer the other day from Effin' Pizza that I promoted and talked about, and the guys are great guys. You know, when they're wearing their cameras on their lapels and something happens, they go look at that camera. Now, whether it's whatever group is overseeing them, internal police,
internal affairs,
government people that are questioning whatever they did. There's night vision on that when they're looking at it. But when the cop's going through it, there is no night vision. In other words, it's not fairly being scoped at. So when they have it on TV somewhere,
you see them better than what they saw live.
Yeah, 30% better, 40% better. I don't know. I'm not an eye doctor,
Yeah.
but maybe double better. And it's incredible the scrutiny they get. Now, I'm going to bring some numbers because I advocate for the inner city. Everybody knows that I'm a big advocate for the inner city. I advocate for Oscar Lugo to come home from prison. Just recently, Biden commuted sentences of incredible. Some of the child molester, Chinese guy. I went through it on my last show, What's Up? People don't want to see who I spoke about. But then you got guys like Oscar Lugo, no violence ever on the street, no violence in jail for 20 years. It was a 12-year jail sentence he should have got, and he's doing life. I advocate for the Duca brothers, who was charged and convicted by Chris Christie, who I'm not a big fan of the Duca brothers saying they're terrorists with no overt acts of violence. Also, I spoke to journalists that covered that case, say they're innocent. FBI agents who said they're innocent. So this is just not my opinion. And there's no overt acts, and no one's looking at these cases. These are a handful. Later on, I'm going to talk about Eddie Calgary, who's known as Eddie Recca, a friend of mine who's in prison in Governors. It's in, I believe, Lawrenceville County, upstate New York. And I want to talk about, we're going to do that on the next show, about the abuse of some of these guards and what they get away with.
And the wardens, too. You know that firsthand.
Well, the warden, like Zelensky, tied me to a desk, and I've spoken about that in my underwear for about 10 days because she wouldn't send me out for medical treatment. Now, you have the abuse like this. Everybody knows about the abuse. And then you have an inmate that just recently, that Hochul, the governor of New York, and I'm not a big fan of hers, is outspoken about the killing of Robert Brooks. Now, Robert Brooks, we're going to get into that. I won't get into the details of his case now or why he's there. We'll do it on the next show. But I want to talk about the police specifically because coming from my life, I want to get this straight for the community because I do a lot of community work. I work with kids that are from the inner city just like me. Later on today, we're going to have another show. And my friend Willie, who's a veteran, two-time tour veteran, big guy, 6'9". He's going to come on. We're going to talk about community work we're doing from Brownsville. Dan, hopefully he shows up. I've done shows with him. But this year, 2023, last year, there was 378 police officers that were shot. But nobody talks about that. I don't get why not. Why isn't that number more, brought out more? Out of those shootings, so people know, there's 115 ambushes of police officers. Out of those, 20 of them were killed. Right? Those are incredible numbers. And now I'm going to talk about the numbers of, and I'm not a racist guy, so I don't want to talk of color, but unfortunately, the media talks constantly about race, and they always try to separate white, black, Spanish, Indian.
They played a race card.
Gray. Yeah, I don't like it. And I'm just going to be honest, because I grew up in those neighborhoods where we were all mixed. I went to school when I was the minority.
I grew up in Jersey City. So.
Yeah, so so we've been in trouble over our lives.
That's the story from back here. Let's send it back out to you, Steve.
Since 2017.
Of course, they're not going to get on Mills Lane. They're the ones that triggered the change. But let me ask you this. Does a headbutt warrant this kind of ridiculous retaliation?
A headbutt is not
saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold. Well, ironically, it was Evander Holyfield whose status as a real heavyweight was once questioned. Now Bobby Chaz. He's loading up because he, like everyone else, believes that he ought to be able to knock Chaz out. Now he's trying to zero. He's loading up because he, like everyone else, believes that he ought to be able to knock Chaz out. Now he's trying to zero. He's
But that they'll, as their excuse when they give these numbers, there is no such thing as per capita, because if you do that and then you take it the other way, black on black crime, they kill each other crazy, the communities. And that's why I'm advocating the way I do for the communities, because the billions and trillions of dollars that are sent to these other these other countries, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's wherever else around the world, there should not be a neighborhood in America that is poverty or a ghetto. It should be going towards their education or a combat zone. It should go to their education, whether it's Brownsville, Brooklyn, and I always use Brownsville because that's where I advocate because we're from down there, or Detroit, or the south side of Chicago. It should go to their education. It should go to single moms. I've said this on other shows. It should go to classrooms for confidence training. Since they're 5 years old, teach them to love themselves, teach them to believe in God.
And more money in the PAL, too.
Yeah,
Opportunities. That was
huge.
Growing up in Jersey City.
The problem is our government leaders want to give themselves raises constantly. Again, they just try to give themselves another whatever it
40% they want.
Yeah, incredible. they just added a surcharge in New York for
the driving.
For driving with
below 60th Street.
What do they call it? Something with basically. There's a terminology they use for a surcharge on top of your tolls. How much do they want to charge people? Meanwhile, Governor, whatever her name is,
Hochul.
Congestion fee.
Congestion fee. Thank you.
Just go back.
Yes. So they call it congestion fee. You imagine they're trying to charge, they're choking the lives out of everybody in these inner cities. So you're trying to tell them they can't leave their neighborhood. You're not saying everybody in Brownsville, everybody in East New York, everybody from any of these neighborhoods. How are these people going to afford from where we come from? My dad was a taxi driver, had no money. And, and the problem is guys that come from these neighborhoods, when you have no money, you try other means to get money. Crimes, gamble, anything, lotto. So now they're raising the lottery to $5. They're raising the congestion fee to $9. So what do you tell them? They can't leave their neighborhood? You're basically jailing people in an area. And Governor Hochul, Hochul, whatever her name is, I really don't like the woman. I don't respect her. She's got rich without being voted in the term before because Cuomo got kicked out, fired, impeached, whatever word you want to use from. But they keep passing the buck on to everybody in the inner cities. But I don't see them fighting for education. I don't see them fighting to should have security at every school, so there isn't any more of these killings. They can have security in every school in America, every single school. Stop sending it to Afghanistan. Stop sending it to the Taliban. Whatever they sent there, $5 billion. I believe
some of the old retired vets, they can carry.
They have enough.
Know combat.
They have enough security that they can put in these schools.
Of course.
And instead, what they do is they redirect and they push it. And this is where I'm going to go with this. The politicians blame the police for whatever's going on. It's not the police, it's the funding. And it's the same thing as when we were growing up, you had neighborhood cops. And when you have community leaders that have the neighborhoods meeting, because I'll tell every gangster, and every time I do a talk, I'm going to say this again. When they say we hate the police, here's my answer to the kids that say it. Or every gangster, whether you're a mobster, whether you're a gang member, whether you're a cartel, here's my answer to you. Your mom's home with your sister, and 3 guys just busted in the house.
Who are you going to call?
And they're going to rape and kill them. You call them. Do you want your next door neighbor, if they see it, call 911? Do you want them to call the police? Very simple answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. Second, every family has some relative that's a cop somewhere in their family. And I always hear the same excuse from the gangsters. Oh, but my cousin's not, he's a good guy. He's not like the rest of them. You get these stupid, these dumb comments, because how are they going to say they got to back up from their child comments about, oh, I hate the police.
Yeah.
And I've said it, I've been beat up by them. Some of the situations I was right, some of them I was wrong. I didn't want to comply. And I always say the same thing, comply, then complain if you're right. But if you are an individual who has a family and you're in our inner city, because forget these rich people like Robert De Niro that talk bullshit until his apartment gets robbed and he called 911 100 times.
Yeah.
To lock up that girl that was in his apartment. So I can't stand phony double. These guys are the worst, because they're the ones that call the police the most. Jessica Alba, and I'll mention some names that, in my opinion, I can't stand them. I says because they're two-faced, full of crap. But then when they want service, they have fences around the house, they have
security,
bodyguards, they have guns, security with guns, and then they still call 911. But I'm talking about the families now. We all have mothers, sisters, family members, children. We want them safe. And no matter what you're doing, even when I was a gangster, I still believed in the police. You can't say that, right? Because you're a gangster. Oh, that's, a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
But the truth is,
they were just doing their job.
Yeah, they're doing their job. They're not going to knock it on your door. There's always bad, like I say, in every group. But where are all the people advocating when I'm talking about all these murders? Where's everybody in the neighborhood when they're killing these cops like this way? Why are they okay with it? When they kill...
those 2 got shot up in New York. They just came right up on them, shot both of them in the cop car.
Yeah, well, I said this at I was talking to a group of kids, and I was talking about when they were throwing balloons with piss and water in the balloon at the police. I said, you think the cops should be able to bust them up with their nightstick? And, they all say the same thing. Yeah, I would do it. I says, well, let me ask you something. If I hit you with a balloon right now with piss in it, what would you do? Would you just take it, or would you come after me? No, I'd come after you. Of course you'd come after me.
Yeah.
I said, so why should they have to take that? That's an assault on a police officer. But here's our leadership, our political leadership.
Action, reaction.
Yeah.
Reaction always gets
Where's
caught.
Hochul?
Yeah.
Where's Hochul to say that's an assault?
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be okay. So when people are saying that to me, or, I picked on a kid, this is a couple of years back at Newark High School. And I asked him to stand up, and he doesn't like cops. I said, your sister's getting raped in an alleyway. Well, that ain't fair. I said, okay, here's another question. Your little brother's on a train, and they're beating him up. They're hitting him with bats. He's 12 years old, 14 years old. They want to take his chain. And there's a cop in the next car. Do you want any of those people on thing to call the cop on the other side? Or you just let your brother get slaughtered, maybe killed because he's a kid? Let's do real life situations.
Yeah.
I says, domestic violence and your mom's your stepdad, you don't even know the guy, you don't like the guy, is pistol whipping your mother and he might kill her. Do you want anybody to call the police? I mean, see, it's not cut and dry like everybody says, because the truth is everybody wants the police.
Of course.
Because our society doesn't last without, the community of harmony. And how do you have harmony with law enforcement? And the only thing I've always said is you need better training, right? You need community leaders to get involved with the community, whoever's heading the police forces in those areas, and have better conversation back and forth and respect for each other. But to say that you don't like the police to me is an outright lie, because I want one of those people. You want to be that hardcore.
They like him when they need him.
Exactly. When you answer that question, when you're doing the right thing, I've met so many police officers since I changed my life that were good guys. And like I said, you're always going to have one or two that aren't. And that's the job of the community of police officers, whoever's housed with them, to get on them. Tell them, don't treat anybody like that, because maybe I'm going to get killed because of your treatment, because you're abusing
Yeah, they
them.
put their life on the line every day.
Well,
They
that's
cannot
why I
come
said,
home at night or lose it, or get sued and lose everything.
Right. It was like firemen. You could put a uniform on, and you don't have to answer a fire in 10 years. But that one time, you answer that fire, and you might lose your life. So firemen, these people, they deserve to get paid well. They deserve to be treated well. And they also need the right training, because you have some that are abusive, not all, and you have to teach them to get rid of the ego. And the same thing, like, we do a program where you do a switch program. And we did this a while ago. And I asked one of the kids, will you be the cop? I'll be the bad guy. And I'll do what I used to do when I was young.
That was natural for you.
Yeah. So I played a natural role. And exactly what I did. When I was on my way to Atlantic City, and I was flying. I was going 120, 130 in a Corvette back then. And they pulled me over finally, like 6 of them. They told me to get out of the car. I told them no. Now what? Yeah. So once that happens, of course you're going to get mugged up. Mm-hmm. They're going to beat you up. They're going to pull you out. They're going to stamp you. But that's the choice I made by saying no. But here's what I did, the reverse program with the kid. And we were sitting in groups, and 5 of the kids were there, and one of the kids was a tough kid. And I said to him, okay, you be the cop. Pull me over. What'd you do? I don't know. Speeding, ran 2 red lights. Okay, 2 red lights. I'm on a telephone. Pull me over. Yeah, what do you want? Give me a license registration. For what? Now he answers me, and I go, no, I ain't giving it to you. I didn't do nothing. You went through the 2 red lights. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Blah, blah, blah. Back and forth. I didn't go through the red lights. Yes, you did. No, you didn't. And we're arguing back and forth. I go, tell me how you're going to handle this. How do you stop it from elevating when I'm telling you to go F yourself? So what do you do? And he's laughing. I'm like, well, God, tell me what you're going to do. How you going to handle
pull you out of the car.
You can't taser me.
Yeah.
You can't beat me up. If I start moving my hands around, you tell me keep your hands down, and I'm not. I go, you waiting for me to grab a gun and get shot? I says, because I could show you a video when a cop pulls over a kid. The kid's not complying. The sergeant comes over. The sergeant asks him to comply. The guy gets on the telephone, calls another guy. The other guy wasn't going to do anything. He just happened to show up because he lived around the corner. And while they're talking and watching that guy, he pulls a gun, shoots the officer, the first officer, doesn't kill him, shoots him in the jaw or the neck. He lives and shoots over his shoulder and kills the sergeant. Wow. Right? So you're monkeying around with the guy for 5 minutes. And I kept saying to myself while I'm watching the video, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Tase him. Because he kept saying, I'll tase you, I'll tase you, I'll tase you. So once he made that phone call, I don't know the legalities of you can tase him, how you can tase him. But legally, you should be able to tase him. Because there's no way in hell that guy should have got killed and that guy should have got shot.
Yeah.
But if you ask any of these street kids that are gangster kids that I'm talking to, or troubled kids, ask them what they would do. Because they would shoot in a second. Because they're about survival. They're from the street.
Yeah.
So when they're talking about these cases, or they're talking about what I just said about shootings, there's millions of responses a day, 600,000 911 calls. You're not talking about a lot of screw-ups like they're trying to make it sound. And it's not about race like they're making it sound. Actually, if you're white, you better worry about getting pulled over and getting killed, because you're getting killed by double the amount. So, they're getting killed twice the amount. Mm-hmm. So that's the truth about it. But even then, a lot of these shootings, not a lot, most of those shootings, and I'll use the whites, are justified by 99%. They're not shootings where the guy's just doing nothing. It's like with me, when they asked me to get a call, I'm fighting him. Yeah. I took his stick. I'm trying to get his gun. I don't know what I was thinking at that age. But, obviously you're not thinking normally. So you'll have to be when you're in the position I'm in now, where I'm trying to save kids' lives and help them to have rethinking.
And not go down that path.
And these adults. And then when you have this idiot that I talked about earlier, Tom, whatever his name was, that worked for Spady or always advocating, he's ruining all these kids. He's telling them, just give up on your life. You're better off without having a life. You'll never be able to be successful because of guys like me, meaning him, will always ruin you. And, my answer is change your ways, because I gave you reasons to tell me, unless you're going to be a liar, I can use the Italian mafia. And let's say if their daughter's home alone and someone's breaking in to rape her, do you call the police? Yes or no? Or do you forget about your neighbor. Your neighbor called you and told you they're coming in to rape your daughter. You're a half hour away. Either she's getting raped or you call the police. Are you calling the police?
110%.
I don't know what human being wouldn't say, yes, I'm calling the police. Yeah. So you don't hate the cops. It's just selectively you hate the police. When you feel like saying you hate the police, right?
When you don't need them.
When you don't need them. So I could take 1,000 of these scenarios for people to say, you'll call the police. You have a burning car and your family's in there and your granddaughter or grandson's in the back seat and that car's burning. Do you call the police? Because there's no firemen around. It'll take them too long to get there. So you need a police car to get there, somebody to get there that's closer. The police department's right around the corner. Do you call the police? Yes or no? When your father's an older gentleman, he's having a heart attack, do you want the police to come and save him?
Yeah, because you can't get there.
Because you can't get there. Oh, no, you want. I can go on and on and on with these. So this nonsense of the thin blue line, no, they're out there every day saving your family's lives. Maybe not your family per se for this week, but maybe next year or 2 years or 3 years, and they put themselves online. The only thing I do say is our government leaders, the ones that are sending billions and trillions of dollars to Ukraine, how about the North Carolina and all the places?
It's still not fixed.
Yeah. So you don't want to send money to them. You don't want to send money to all the kids like me that grew up in the inner city with no education and we don't go to schools because we don't think we have an opportunity of it. We don't have the confidence in ourselves. You don't send the money to us, but you send it to the Taliban, $5 billion.
Yeah.
You send it to any other country that you're trying to support, but you're not sending it to us. You're not sending it to our kids. You got an open checkbook for Ukraine. And not that I dislike the Ukrainian people. I like them. But I'm sorry, this is America. Take care of the kids that are coming from our areas first. Give them an opportunity.
Take care of your own first, then whatever's left.
You go to Kensington, where I've done talks. I go to the boxing gym there. I've done talks with a lot of guys there. I've done talks with John from K&A and different facilities there. That is like a war zone. There's drugs and people and laying and dying all over the street. Why is that? This is America. Where is our money? Why are we allowing these government officials to steal our money? And that brings me back to guys like Jack Ciattarelli that really care about the kids and neighbors. Not because he's talking that way, because he takes the time to meet and talk to guys like me to help reach some of these other inner city kids and people that he can't get to, but I can. Yeah. And people like me can get to and hopefully help them. So when people are talking against the police department, I'm completely opposite. I talk, they're heroes. They're people that risk their lives every day. And every time they put that uniform and they pull one, they might not come home.
Or get sued.
And that's the new thing. Or go to jail.
Yeah.
Go to jail for things they shouldn't be going to jail for, actually. And we're gonna bring this up again. Every so often I do these shows about the police department and the advocating the way I do, because I know both ends of it.
Yeah.
I was at one time a bad guy.
They were your competition.
Yeah, and they're doing their job. I can't hate them.
No.
What I don't like is when these kids now, you want to be a gangster, then don't cry when you're getting beat up then.
Yeah.
That's part of it. You don't want to comply. You expect what you're going to get then. No one's telling you got to comply. Complain tomorrow. I say the same thing. So I'm saving your life, or I'm saving you from going to jail. That's the life you want to lead. You're stupid enough to not, have confidence in yourself is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, and hopefully you have a chance at a good life. But I don't blame them. Again, I'm going to blame the politicians because they're eating up all the money for our communities. They're stealing it. You have people like Pelosi that's worth $100 million. Where's she getting this money?
Or AOC making less than $200,000 now, worth $15 million.
Yeah, unbelievable. Or Willis,
Yeah,
right? She's prosecuting Trump. You made $100,000. You're worth $8 million. Where are you getting all this money? Or even more.
They're the
I think.
legal mafia.
Yeah,
right
20. Why isn't anybody looking into them?
Because no one looks into them because they're the legal mafia.
Yeah, illegal. All kinds of stock fraud going on, inside trading. Well, the people. I got to tell you one thing: the president has woken up this country, and they got to keep going after all these politicians that are robbing us, because they're the real criminals. They're stealing,
Oh, yeah.
and the thing is, it's not just stealing money. They're stealing these communities where every black, Spanish, white family that doesn't,
And
Indian
they don't care
or
about the
anything,
end result. what
the end
goes on
result,
there.
because they're dying in the street because they have no money.
Yeah.
And they're trying to go out there in illegal ways and get money. And that's because of the politicians. That's who I blame for this. I don't blame anybody but the politicians. We became a third world nation. Just what this judge is doing now with this illegal crap, what he's doing to our president, it's a disgrace. His ego, this guy, in my opinion, again, looks in the mirror and he thinks he's bigger than our country. In his sick mind, he's bigger than our country, what he's doing. It's incredible what has gone on over the last years in the military-industrial complex, what they're doing with wars. When's everybody going to wake up and see, like, what is going on with allowing them
What's
to
the
do
end
this?
result could be? No one living anymore.
Do you
Everybody
imagine
dead.
the biggest award that you can give somebody, Biden just gave to Soros,
And
Hillary Clinton, and what's it name, Cheney?
Yeah.
You imagine that they had a ceremony to give them.
Now that medal
I
means
forget
nothing.
what they call it, but it's like a congressional, Medal of Honor
Yeah.
of public servants. This is a guy that instigated, and I'm talking about Soros. First, what he did to the Jews back when he was a Jew himself, since he's a kid, and he laughed about it. But then he went after communities in different countries and destroyed them. And then he did it here with BLM and everybody else. Listen, every life matters. I'll keep saying the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're black. I don't have a preference in color, and it doesn't matter to me. I says, people are people. Everybody, we all unite with each other. But guys like him are just evil bastards that want to destroy inner
wants to
cities
destroy
and kids.
America.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
bottom
everybody,
line.
not just America.
Yeah.
He just and you want to give him that. It's
That
incredible.
medal?
He's supposed, honestly, my opinion, he belongs in jail. Fauci belongs in jail. Gates belongs in jail. These people belong in jail for life, not a couple of years. And it's incredible to be this evil at this.
But see, they have so much dirt on other people, and they won't go after them.
Well, I don't think the president now
Yeah, but you're right there.
is, and
There's
I
no
don't think
sheriff
there's
in
a
town.
cleaner individual than him. They've tried everything and anything and scopes in every particular way to go after him, and it's a shame what they've done to not to him only, like I said, to the country. They destroyed our country, made it go
Like
back
you said,
50
they're not
years.
going after me. They're going after you.
Yeah.
He happened to have the money to defend himself and be clean.
Hey, it's very important for everybody. Follow me, click, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, comments, and back your police departments, back your fire departments, your first responders, ambulance, EMS, and our veterans. Very important. These people sacrifice themselves for us. And again, it ain't about these departments. It's about education, training, and communities tying together. That's really what they need to do. Thank you, everybody. Anything?
That's perfect.
Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy.